Okay, we've got a quorum, so I think we can begin. I first want to remind everyone that this meeting is being recorded. Welcome to the Commission on Disability meeting of December 6, 2021. Lois, do you have your flag? There we go. Okay, if we could please say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice
justice for all.
for all.
So looking at the participants, I do not see Janice online. Hopefully she will join us, but it looks like everyone else is here. So the first item on the agenda is public participation, and Chris Carino is here from the Albion Cultural Exchange to give us an update. So Chris, if you're ready.
All right, I'm off mute. You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Well, I'm back. It's been about a year coming back. I promised you guys I'd come back and sort of make this a regular gig. And so it's a year later. We've got a lot of new things going on, and we've crossed a lot of bridges and worked on a lot of things. And what do you call it? I wanted to give you an update as to, essentially it's sort of a three-part kind of thing. I'm going to tell you about, where we came from, where we're at, and where we're going. As it relates to accessibility and just other construction and things that we have going on that, I want you to be aware of, and obviously take in any input that, that's available that you have. A year ago, we were talking about accessible entrances off the back of our building, trying to get in through there, figuring out what was going on. We had a plan. We were really trying to get it through. It wasn't the best plan, but it worked until it didn't work. And so we went through there. The plan started at about $50,000. It went up to $80,000, and then it went over $100,000 with some of the stuff that we need to do with our basement. And once you go over that level, we ran out of money for that at that point. But then you end up in a different category of doing improvements with the town. You end up with a permanent building committee, and it's stuff that becomes out of our hand and considered, sort of a different thing. And, we weren't really satisfied with even what we had. We didn't really like it because we thought it was too expensive. And we wanted something more substantial, really, coming in off of Chestnut Street. The way that we see it is, we've looked at it, and it's the Chestnut Street entrance. We want it to be a primary entrance, very accommodating to everybody. And the idea of something more substantial coming from Chestnut Street needed some other components with it. And at the time, a year ago, the previous building was for sale. It is since sold. And we have reached out with the town administrator and have had some basic communications with the owners, which is really a key component to making that, a truly successful, primary entrance to get into our building off of Chestnut Street. So we have, in legal terms, we have like a right of way. The lawyers will sit there and talk to you about like, what's the difference between a right of way and an easement and all this kind of stuff. For our purposes, we want people to be able to get safely from Chestnut Street into the facility without any grading issues or anything that could just, not make it go right. And so we had a plan that had us getting in from sort of our easement type area. It's not an easement, it's a right of way. But it wasn't really as substantial as we wanted, and we were looking for more participation. So as we were doing that and waiting for things to happen, our architect advised us that our floors inside weren't safe, and he thought that we needed to spend some time on there. We had a lot of issues with some metal protruding and some other things with the carpet. And his advice was to get our floors firmed up as we figure this out and as we wait on some things. So we did do fairly, I'd say major, but it wasn't major in terms of ridiculous amounts of money, but it was a really substantial renovation where we pulled asbestos out of out of the floors, which is a safety and a health concern, as well as gunned in like 500 nails or something to get like the subfloor so it wasn't bouncing, and then replace some wood so that things didn't go through, and replace the luxury vinyl tile. So we now have a firm floor that's safe for any kind of device that were to go in there. God forbid there was a hole or somebody, were to get cut or something like that. So the interior of our building looks awesome at this point. I've had some foundation people out. Part of our cost overruns and coming through the back had to do with, like, we have a 9-inch gap that we need to come down. It triggered a lot of drainage stuff. I've taken some of the drainage stuff and put it into sort of a separate budget that doesn't impact the accessibility type stuff. And we're looking at solving some of those problems that would have been part of this in like another way, and looking at things. So at this point, the building's solid, the floors are solid, everything's solid. We've been working with the state senator's office and the state rep's office, and we've gotten some additional funding to do some things. The building has been sold, and through the town administrator, as well as myself and email communications, we're starting to forge a relationship where we can make that more substantial entrance, to make everything right, to bring our costs down in the areas that we want to bring our costs down, and really to make it work for the abutting property owners, and to just, really just like make it better. We were just trying to sort of make anything work before, and we got close. And then, between supply chain and everything and costs just getting, out of hand, it made sense to take a step back. We made some improvements that were good. We've gotten more money. So we're at a position now of, where we came from. We had a plan that wasn't the best plan, but we were trying to get it to work. We figured out a way to get some other things to work and to make that plan better. Where we're at now is we've got additional funding. We've got communications with our neighbors, and we have the ability to make a much more substantial entrance, which is sort of where we're going with things. So, as far as the future goes, we're going to continue working on this entrance. Some things have come up regarding, we talked about our elevator in the past. There's a $500,000 cost for that. And that was part of the things that, as you sort of put together plans, made things get a little wonky, because that's just such a large amount of money. And, we have to really look back and reflect as to, what is the goal? And our goal is to make it an equal accessible entrance from Chestnut Street, primary type entrance, get people in there safely. A lot of that stuff is exterior. But then when they get there in our first floor, which is safe and all that's great, we want these other 2 floors to come into action. And that's just such a big number that, as we spoke with the foundation people, we started talking about ideas of, like, you can come in through that rear accessible entrance, which still probably is hovering, in the $100,000 range as we get our funding and various things, depending on how we do it. But then at that point, we can have you come in and have like a lift that would be available to go down to like our basement. And what happens in our basement? Well, that's where our master plan has classrooms and stuff like that. So not only would you get in through the back, you'd then have the ability to go down, and we'd be able to open up multiple floors. And the cost and the price point in that appears to be much lower. We're not talking a $500,000 craziness thing. We're talking anything from maybe $10,000 to $50,000 for lifts that can get you from one floor to another. I hesitate to say low numbers of $10,000 to $25,000, but I've seen those things in there. I just have enough project experience that I don't even really want to fantasize there. But the idea is that there are alternatives based on our unique situation to, get people to more floors in addition to, our safe first floor that we have now. So, where we came from was, we're trying like heck to get this thing done. We've crashed into a few walls. Some things went well, some things haven't went well. We're fortunate that where we're at now is we've got the state reps, the state senators on board, the town on board. We get the attention of everybody. Our gallery's doing amazing. Our floors are safe. Things are going really well, and participation from the neighborhood, so that making this rear primary Chestnut Street type entrance is much closer to, I think, an envisioned reality. We've had engineers looking at this thing, and there's just so many. We've gone from a state of, hey, those guys are thinking about doing something, to people have been engaged in multi-month processes and dialogues about like how it's going to get done when we do it. Not can we do it anymore. It's just like, okay, let's breathe, let's get things through. So we're proceeding forward. We've got support of everybody. And as soon as we have new information on that, I'll bring it to you. But the plan is still essentially, we want to come in from the back. We're looking at elevators and lifts and stuff in a different way. We've got cooperation from our neighbors, and we've got funding from the state in various forms coming to help us. So that's.
So when you were planning to enter from Chestnut Street, that is entering on your first floor level, right?
Yes.
So not
Yes.
the basement. And so when you talk about a lift, how does that differ from a traditional elevator? What is a lift?
So a lift would be like, you'd come into that rear entrance and there'd be a gate, and you come up to that gate. You could open up the gate, take a wheelchair onto that gate. It's got buttons. It's kind of it sort of looks more like a scaffolding type setup, but it goes between one floor. So there's not a big encasement. There's not the requirement to get a front end loader back there and dig up down there and dig up 10 feet worth of stuff. The shaft and everything that would be required for an elevator is not required for this. So there wouldn't be an excavator. There wouldn't be major construction of ripping apart things. We would be working within the existing foundation frame. And this is made possible by the fact that I've got other folks that are working on our foundation issues, not to get down into the weeds of the engineering, but our foundation issues concerned water and drainage to get people. There's like a 9-inch gap from the way things flow. And solving those drainage issues in a different way with a different budget makes this project cheaper and sort of stronger. So when we go into that back spot where the shaft would be for a lift, that is facilitated by the fact that we're doing some foundation work on a separate project. But everything interrelates, so it's like it becomes one big monstrous mess. But if you sort of compartmentalize it out, so sort of like what our architect said to us about the floors, the first floors was, even if you got people in here, why would you want them to come in here? There's sharp things out here. There's asbestos. There's sharp edges. There's creaky floors. There's the potential of some other things happening. So now that we have the ability to bring people in there, and we talk about we look at our future forecasting of this whole elevator concept and how does that play in. We look at our foundation work and say, okay, well, this other project that has to do with our foundation, which creeped its way into our accessibility project, if that's complete, then it is worth bringing people into that space, because the master plan for this building has all 3 floors functioning as soon as we can make them accessible. And so it's the realistic next floor to be developed would be the basement before we went upstairs. And then when we talk about going upstairs, that's a situation where there's yet a different type of lift that could get up there. But I think it's a matter of just sort of, prioritizing budgets and things. Our foundation and some other work that we need to do down low is going to come up before stuff when we go up high. And the ability to service more people by doing classroom type stuff in our basement, we believe to be a higher priority than trying to get upstairs where we're going to be servicing less people, but still have the same, if not higher, accessibility challenges.
So right now, if somebody is in a wheelchair, they can't access the building because currently there's no.
Right now we have a lift, so we'd have to have somebody. There's not a proper ramp.
Okay.
We've got a step up. We're flat once you get inside. We've got to step up. We've looked at the possibilities also for interim type stuff of doing some other sort of ramp lift ups, but really trying to take a strategic look at everything and do what seems to be the most effective with our time and with our budgets.
Right.
Many conversations.
Explored in depth trying to get in through the front, and that didn't make sense.
It's a numbers game. I mean, we should be able to do this. Obviously, if you have an unlimited budget, you can build things. Do those things make sense? That's really the big thing, because we're trying to balance the aesthetic of making this work for everybody, and to make it work for everybody is always the challenge. And so there's a lot of ways, and we don't have unlimited funding. And when we go over $100,000 on any given project. It puts a whole different level of scrutiny. You go from being able to execute a project with a well thought out plan in 3 to 6 months to it now being a 3-year project, and it has to go to, this committee and that committee, and it just impedes it. It just impedes itself. It just sort of explodes in on itself. And, a lot of us, I work pretty fluidly with the town administration. I've worked with them for, many years. But as far as, the groups of volunteers and people such as yourselves, we don't all have all day, every day to schedule meetings and have people coming through. And we have to use our public resources the best that we can to, maintain that shared municipal community control of what we're trying to do. And I think that we're being successful with it at this point, especially, this isn't our first time talking, which I think to me is that's the success of, I was sitting there and I said tonight, all right, I'm going to talk to these folks. I'm going to tell them, where we're at, where we came from, where we're at, where we're going, and what's a success here. And I think part of the success I would hope is that we have an ongoing dialogue, and this isn't, a one-off kind of thing. So definitely open for any input. I've done a lot of talking, so I'm going to do less talking and more listening at this point.
So what is the ETA based on, it sounds like, the budget is gone over a particular threshold, which changes the requirements. What are you getting a sense that?
I would say that, this isn't something that you can put an ETA on, in that I'd say that we're fortunate that we have communication with the folks that have the building next to us. And at this point, we're fortunate also that we have the state government bringing us some grants. I think we had, a grant for like $25,000. We've got some other monies coming in. We're not, this isn't something that doesn't have people's thoughts and minds and availability of stuff there. So the time frame, I think, really at this point, we're looking to establish more of a rapport with our neighbor and start to talk about more of the idea of a substantial of a substantial partnership, to make it so that, from Chestnut Street going past the bank building, that wasn't included in our plan. That's a whole separate ball of wax. And so we know that they're going to want to do stuff coming up, and it's business proper to give them time. Folks bought this building. I think they spent $5 or $7 million on it. There are architects aplenty, I'm sure, on their side that are drawing stuff, and they're well aware of who we are and that we're neighbors and that we want to work together. We've got stuff going on with our foundation, which is going to directly impact this to clear things up so that can be available. So I think it would be improper to say, oh, it's going to be this many months. It's really just going to be, as soon as I have more substantial information, I'll bring it to you all and tell you what we're doing, or at least, or what we're digesting.
And what are they doing with the building, the new owners? What is that?
Well, that's the thing that nobody knows. We know that they're doing something. I would imagine, from my observations of many of these types of deals, the first focus was on, they had a game plan of some idea of what they wanted to do, and then they executed the transaction. They've got the transaction together. I know that Santander is in there. They have a lease for several more years. However, we also know, as observers of all things Wakefield, that Santander is building a building at 500 Main Street, which is right across the street from the Civic Center and the junior high. That's all that construction. So what's going to happen is, looking in the Chris Carino crystal ball, this is me saying this is what's probably going to happen with that building. Is they have their architects figuring out what they want to do when Santander leaves. Santander is going to go to 500 Main Street probably in the next 12 to 18 months. Once they leave, the owners of the building, the new owners of the building, they'll have that lease will be done. And then they'll start, filing, probably before that, for what they want to do. Now, what is that? We don't know. I know that through informal conversations with people, I've heard everything from, restaurants to housing. I don't know that housing applies there. I don't even want to speculate, but you can bet your bottom dollar that if they spend I think it was $5 million or something like that, they have a team of people figuring out how they're going to make that into a revenue source. And we're on their radar as far as, it's been communicated to them that there's an art gallery back there. There's conversations going on. There's things that they want to do. And typically, with the things that they want to do. They're gonna need a lot of discussion with town boards and officials, and I'm sure that they'll be more than receptive to working with us. That that hasn't happened yet, but we're up. I mean, the conversation was, yes, we definitely are in. We want to talk about this stuff. The time frame is definitely indeterminate, but I'd say that this is not something that I guess you could say, if you wanted to make an analogy, this is like on the front to medium burner. So we're talking about it, trying to figure out what's going on, trying to get all the pieces in place. And as things develop with our neighboring property, which is not something that we can control, as they're ready to speak with us to do their improvements, we'll be able to negotiate.
I hear you. Does anybody else have any questions for Chris?
So for a little bit of PR outside of this stuff, if you haven't been down in a while, I know that I've shown everybody what's going on. You have, definitely you can have a private invite with me anytime that you want to come down. But we have a few events coming up in the coming months that definitely like to see, some bright smiling faces. We've got a show called Bring the Good, which is all about summertime and bright colors and hopefully really big canvases. We've got some folks, some Wakefield folks, some Linfield folks, some other people, maybe even some Reading people coming in, some new faces you might not have seen. We're trying to get big pieces on the wall. The idea is that, hey, it's winter time and it's cold here. We're trying to make it summertime inside. And then we're also working for our Art and Edibles event, which we're bringing back, which is something that we've done several times. And that has a focus on everything food and restaurants and local chefs. And this year, we're talking to all the groups, and they're getting the word now. Maybe that if they watch this meeting, they'll hear about it first. But we're meeting with the town administrator, the town administrator's team, and we're hoping to do one of these things where we link really everybody in. It's a food event, so the farmers market will be a sponsor. We'll talk with the chamber about restaurants. We'll talk with Main Streets, who's a supporter of downtown, and hopefully loop all these people together where we collect things for the food pantry. We promote the farmers market. We promote any kind of restaurant and food kind of thing. And the way that we do stuff now is different than we did in the past. We used to do, an event for 2 or 3 days. Now we're putting stuff on our walls, and we're trying to be open for, 60 to 90 days with any particular exhibit. And the way that works is, 1 or 2 nights a week or an afternoon is the time that people can come. Maybe we're open up on a couple Sunday afternoons and sometimes Friday nights. But with our floors fixed and sturdy, and some new paint on the walls and some new lights on the ceiling and everything looking really good, we're in what we call always on mode, which means that we can set event dates throughout the month, and then we can open it up and we don't have to set it up. It's just ready to go. Again, with volunteer staff, and we're not like the MFA. We don't have a big budget. We don't have a budget like the library or anything like that. I have sort of like 3 or 4 teams of people that are really good at doing events. The problem is they get burnt out. When they do an event and we set up an event and then we break down an event, it's exhausting. And so we would, especially pre-COVID, we'd go from one team to the next team to the next team. And the idea is that when you get to the loop, that team is no longer exhausted and is willing to do a show. And so we're building that back, and to make our schedule more manageable for our staff, we're making exhibits longer. And I think people like that. And we're also offering private tour experiences so that people can come and see what's going on. And if you don't want other people there, we'll figure out a way to get there. So some people don't like crowds. If you don't like crowds, that's not your thing. You can schedule a private appointment. That's not something we did before. It's something we started doing with COVID, and something that we're making available for people, because people have, different social emotional needs. And we're here to serve, as best we can for all of that stuff. And I was just recently quoted in the paper talking about, like why we're important, and what is it that we do? Nobody else has an Albion Cultural Exchange. And really our job is to sort of, leverage the creative economy into the local economy for the benefit of all. So that means working with the artists and all these folks. And I'm going to be presenting to the town council, and people's, sometimes, they say, well, how do you measure success? And we measure success with the economic impact in downtown and the mindfulness impact. It's a combination of, sort of art, culture, and community. There's an economic impact in downtown, but then there's also a mindfulness impact, and that's where the creative economy comes into the regular economy. So we're not looking to break records by collecting rent. We're looking to break records by getting participation of all in a way that makes sense for people, in a way that we can handle given budgetary constraints and the fact that, you know, we have to play the long game. And we've been doing this 7 years now, and look what we've done in 7 years. So where are we going to be in another 7? I think we're going to be in a pretty good place. And, you know, our location, I'm a marketing guy from day one. I teach marketing. That's, you know, part of what I do. This is like the best location you could possibly have. This is what we call Main and Main. You can't get a better location. I mean, we are downtown Wakefield. We're 16 feet off being the definition of downtown Wakefield, and we want to make it accessible and enjoyable for everyone.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that you decided to come and update us, and I certainly wish Albee and Cultural Exchange well, and we'll definitely be down there. Does anybody have any questions for Chris?
You know, everyone pretty much knows, you see me around. So if you need my email, it's readily available. You need my cell phone, whatever works for you. And if anybody wants to come for a private tour at any given moment, you know, you can just call me, email me, you know, a couple of days notice, usually same day, but a couple of days notice just in case, you know, life gets in the way.
And if we have artists that might be interested in displaying, we just connect them to you?
You can connect them to me. We have for the different shows, we have different calls to artists and people that run that. So for our Art and Edibles show, our call to artist is going out in like a week. And so we basically direct people to an online form. It tells them all the dates. If you want to participate, you drop offs on certain dates, pickups on certain dates. You know, a thing that just says that you give us permission to have that sort of stuff. And then people that want to participate in our show, the big thing is the shows again are, you know, we're doing 60 days, 90 days long. So the art has to be available for the entire length of the show. And any artist is also welcome to advertise the opportunity to buy their art. You just can't buy off the floor. And all art has to stay until the end of the show.
Got it. Okay, great.
All right. Well, have a wonderful night. I'll listen in for a few minutes here and then probably disappear.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. I think some of the next items can go pretty quickly. I feel like we've talked about this, even though I guess we haven't met since town meeting, but the commission's name change was approved at town meeting, so we are now Wakefield Commission on Disabilities.
Thank you for that.
Oh, thank you all for your support. And you probably read in the item that the accommodations, the ADA accommodations were very well received at town meeting. You know, we also received personal emails from individuals in town thanking us for that. So I think that we've made good headway, and I think that, you know, obviously more can be done, and at each town meeting we do a little bit more until, you know, we can accommodate anybody who wants to be there. Let's talk. I'm going to skip the banner for a minute till we get to talk about it, Intelligent Lives. But we had obviously we had composed an email a month or so ago to go to the post office regarding the concerns that were brought forward to us for accessibility issues. I was having some really positive conversations with the folks at the post office downtown. They had elevated it to their management, and unfortunately a couple of weeks ago they got a response back basically citing let's see if I can get into I know I forwarded it to all of you, but citing the architectural barrier and advising us that they didn't have to comply to ADA requirements. And the bottom line is they don't have money, right? The U.S. Post Office doesn't have the money, and they're going to prioritize, and this isn't a priority. However, Bill Renaud came back fortuitously. He had some something he subscribes to, and he got an email that specifically addressed this issue. And I'm just going to try to pull it up while we're talking. Oops. Oh, for Pete's sake. And so basically, there is a government organization that handles things like this, that overrides the ADA. And it looks like a lot of other communities have taken advantage of this, and they've been successful. So I'm sorry, they just kicked me out of the disability email here. The U.S. Access Board resolves 38 Architectural Barrier Act cases. So and I forwarded you all a copy of that email from Bill as well. So what they're saying basically is there's a process that we can follow if we want to push this, elevate it to this organization. And tonight, it's pretty simple. It's 5 steps. Who are you? What is the barrier, right? And then we go forward, and I'm sure they have some board that reviews it and makes a decision. So I took the blurb that we used in our letter as that we said was the barrier, and I sent it to Bill and asked him, is that wording going to be sufficient, or is there some, can you give us some other word that we maybe need to add in there to beef this up a little bit? So we'll hear what he has to say, but for you, I want to ensure that everybody is on board with us elevating this, because we're going to go forward as ourselves, the Wakefield Commission on Disabilities. We are the ones that are going to bring this forth to this government board, and I'm not sure that there's a lot of pushing. I think you make your case, they do their due diligence. How they make their determination, I don't know. I also know that the U.S. Post Office in Wakefield said that they were told from their hierarchy that someone could come out and look at that door. I guess there's some regulation if the door is within a certain weight, then it's okay. And if it's beyond that weight, then they could do something to make it easier to open. So I asked him to pursue that, and that was before we had this other information. And I'll follow up with Wakefield, because, as I said, they were very accommodating. So I think that I don't think he's going to impede this in any way. But I just really want to take a vote of our board, our commission, that we want to proceed with this, and then I'll work with Bill, and we'll fill out the online complaint or whatever they refer to it as, and then take it from there.
I'd like to make a motion that we proceed with this.
Yes, please. And could we have, I'll just go around for everybody. Janice?
Yes.
Okay, Lois?
Yes.
Lorna?
Yes.
Darcy?
Yes.
Paula?
Yes.
Katie?
Yes.
Kristen?
Yes.
And Levon?
Yes.
Did I miss anyone? Okay, and I'm in favor as well. So yes, Levon, if you would just record that we have unanimously voted. Let me give you some words here. I need two computer screens now, I guess. We have unanimously voted to pursue the accessibility issue at the Wakefield Post Office in the square with the U.S. Access Board. Got it. Okay, great. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Okay. And I'm going to interject a item that was not on this agenda, but that came up when I checked the email, the commission email tonight. Bill Renaud had forwarded to me a discussion that has recently transpired. If you will recall, the town got some money to do some updates, and particularly over by the Hartshorn house. So they're going to be making a pickleball court over in that area, and in order to fix up the tennis court. So I guess it's going to be tennis court and pickleball. And the best way to access that is, I guess, coming off Church Street and taking that little path that goes by the cemetery. And of course, it's a dirt path right now and not ADA compliant. And so part of the grant money that they had received is to fix that, is to pave that. Another part of the issue over there is, I guess, there's some erosion, and because of the fact that that is a dirt path, it's eroding into the lake, and it's causing some other issues. So what Bill has indicated is the town is federally mandated to provide accessibility access to those facilities via that path. Well, apparently word wasn't communicated well, and the folks from the Wakefield Neighborhood Association, as well as the Historical Commission, are just getting word that this is going to be happening, and they're expressing a concern from a historical perspective. The fact that that area it obviously is very historical because of the Hartshorn house as well as the cemetery, and the fact that that is an area that's, when we show pictures of Wakefield, that's one of the areas that is very photographed. I think the Hartshorn house hosts a lot of events such as showers and maybe weddings. That's an area, that they're outside photographing. And there's been a concern expressed there regarding changing that path and paving it. So Bill has obviously agreed to meet with them to have discussion about what is going to be done. It sounds like there are some options as to what can be used to actually pave, to maybe make it look more aesthetically pleasing. So there are going to be discussions with that. He copied me on the email, and I think we should be engaged because certainly those two organizations that I mentioned have legitimate concerns. In a way, it's out of our hands, right? The state is telling the town that that area has to be accessible. We were obviously amenable to that because right now that area poses a problem to anybody who has any type of mobility issue. So I want us to be involved in the conversations, to be able to offer ideas, to be supportive so we can all come to a resolution that works for everybody. So is there anybody that might have an interest that would want to, I don't think that this is going to be a ton of meetings, but there may be a meeting or two. And does anybody have any interest that, maybe wants to participate to be able to represent the commission in those discussions?
I would be happy to do that. If, do we know, are they meeting daytime, evening time? Do we have any ideas?
I don't, I don't honestly. I would want to guess maybe during the day, you know, during Bill's business hours, but again, I'm not certain about that. So what I'll do is I'll just respond back to Bill and ask him to, you know, keep us apprised of when these meetings are going to occur. I'll ask him to make sure that you're copied, Janice. And
Okay,
then, you know, obviously, if it's not a convenient time for you, you know, try to find a time that is convenient for you so that that you can participate.
I can usually take
Again, I don't
on the
know.
day, take some time off during the day from work and
Right, take during maybe your lunch or something. I mean, it's not gonna, I can't imagine these discussions will go on for hours. It's just, again, I think Bill has, you know, has done this before in other places. He mentioned Concord, Mass, where something came up similarly. So I think he's, you know, he has some ideas that are probably going to be
Awesome.
amenable to everybody, but we just, you know, we just want to be at the table.
I think that's a great idea. I know that when they redid City Hall Plaza, well, they didn't redo it. They made it accessible for the first time. They put pavers, so it looks like brick, but it isn't brick. So it's not going to have that unevenness of brick. But they put
So it's not bumpy. It's not
it's
bumpy. It's
they put something in that's not asphalt, which I think probably everybody could agree is not going to be pretty. But they can put something in that's better looking.
right.
And still a smooth surface that wheelchairs can use.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay.
Because I think asphalt also, excuse me, is a potential of phosphorus finally coming off the asphalt that goes into the lake.
Good
Oh,
point.
so that
Which
that's
means
an
that the
option.
geese pollution would probably wash off into the lake quicker because it was on asphalt and not dirt. So I think that them using it, that the dirt is polluting the lake is probably far less than if we have it asphalt there, which everything then rolls off the asphalt and goes into the lake, along with the phosphorus from the asphalt.
Right.
Good point.
So what Bill says here is, I have utilized a specialized material in historic settings when I was in Concord that may be a good option for this location. I will forward, Janice, I'll forward you all this information just so that you can read through it. That would be great if you could participate in those discussions so we can
Give it a
obviously
try.
give our input and know what's going on.
Thanks, Marie.
Okay, so let's see, where are we here?
Marie, can I ask that we go back and approve the meeting minute notes from November?
Thank you. Yes. I skipped right over that. Thank you very much, Levon. All right. Would someone like to well, Levon made the motion to approve the meeting minutes of November 1st. Would someone like to second that, please?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Paula. Any discussion? Nope. Okay, then we are approved, Levon. Thank you.
Levon, those are the fastest minutes I've ever received from any meeting I have ever attended.
I know, right?
That's amazing.
Do we need to also have an update on the financial report?
Thank you. Lois, any same?
No change.
No change. Okay, thank you. And remind me to talk about finances when we get to the Intelligent Lives discussion. So the next item, Lorna, you wanted to give an update on the COA. Remind me, please.
Judy Luciano and I have met because she was very interested in trying to figure out what it is that they could do to support us too.
Would you, sorry, would you, what COA, would you
Oh,
remind
I'm
me of
sorry,
what the,
Council on Aging.
thank you, okay.
And of course, we had talked about some of the mutual things that concern not only the seniors, but people with disabilities in the town, such as walkways and roads and parking and things like that. But the thing is that she did want to tell us is that they'd very much like to be able to support us in advertising anything that we are doing so that it would be reaching out to more people that way. So I did tell her about Intelligent Lives, but at the time we did not have a set date in time, but certainly would, keep her abreast on that so that it can be sent out in their monthly newsletters too. So anything that we would like to advertise, but let's keep in mind to let COA help us out with some of that advertising.
That's great. So like,
Yeah.
you know what, so let me add that to our to-do list. Council on Aging. Okay, great.
I also didn't know at the time if they had a comment that they wanted to make or an update that they wanted to make to any of the commissions or boards that they were liaisons to.
Yes, has anybody attended any meetings that they would like to update on? Lois?
I am on the, well, I was on the 2030 board there. I'm also on the liaison to the Vietnam advisory board and also the historical commission
Oh, okay.
in Wakefield.
So do you want to give an update to anything that's been happening on those?
I'm just like a listener. I don't say that much, only if necessary. But we've been working. Let's see. Let's see here. We have. It's called Reese Across America, and we get a certain amount. You try to every year. Last year was the storm that we had, but we were all there down at the
I remember that.
Forest Lake Cemetery. And I was holding Reese on this arm and this arm because I didn't want to fall in the 4 feet snow.
I remember seeing you in the paper doing that. So Wreaths
December.
Across America, okay.
Yeah, December 18th. This year.
So December 18?
Right,
Is that what you, okay.
right. At Forest Glade.
So December, I'm
Noon.
just looking at December, what is the date again?
The 18th?
Friday, I think, is 17. That makes sense?
Yeah, I think so. The
Okay,
18th, which is Saturday.
okay, 18.
Saturday, yeah.
Okay, got it.
Noontime, just
Noon.
at that one cemetery.
Just
Forest.
at Forest Glade, yep.
Yes. And they put them around all the wreaths that the veterans lot.
So that's from that's the Veterans Advisory Board that will be doing that.
Right.
Okay.
And I've been there several years.
Okay, great. Any other updates?
I think that's
That's it?
kind of about it.
I had an update for the permanent building committee. I found out, I corresponded with them. They meet weekly, twice a month. It is about the schools, and twice a month it is about the other buildings in Wakefield. I had talked with them about maybe attending like one week each month. This month, what I went to was the one about the high school and the new high school. It actually was the 3 out of 4 of the planning sessions that they were having. There was about 40 people on the meeting, lots of representation from the community, as well as teachers from the school. And they discussed a lot of different things about the new high school, kind of what people were hopeful for. I, of course, put in a plug for universal design, which was one of their top 10, issues that they were discussing. Just because if it's universally designed, then it will work for everybody, and you don't have to worry about what is, what the current population is versus what the population will be in 10 years versus another 10 years. But they also discuss things about like the heart of the school and having a meeting place, as well as kind of community access and having a place where the community could access different places in the high school while not having to go into the school, kind of for privacy reasons. And also very interesting conversation after during COVID, and just having flexible learning spaces and kind of what meets everybody's different learning needs in smaller spaces. So there were a lot of great conversations, and the architects were there to take the feedback from the community back. And it was definitely very interesting and eye-opening. And I plan to just go to a regular permanent building committee meeting this month. So it won't be one of the school buildings, but it was definitely interesting.
Yeah, and where are we with that? Wakefield, have we been selected yet? I can't remember have we been given the go-ahead that they are gonna fund it?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
So now it's just a matter of trying to come up with the design and pull this all together. And what will be the intent? That they will build it on what are the existing fields so that the current school stays intact, and like similar to what they did at the Galvin?
They didn't discuss that at the meeting. That's what I've heard, but they didn't discuss that. It was just kind of, where will the art rooms be? Will there be an art wing, or will there be neighborhoods so that people don't have to kind of mix? So you could kind of isolate like a whole group of people and have, they would all be in one area, and then another group of people in a whole another area. So it was more kind of those conversations versus the actual building.
I'll be curious to see how that all plays out.
And there's another meeting just coming up next week for ARPA, the American Rescue Plan, and how Wakefield is going to choose to spend the dollars. And that's on the 16th at 7. I was planning to go, and if I could represent the commission, unless somebody else wants to do so, just because I feel like there's a lot of accommodations that we're often hearing about, like we did tonight. And not that there's not tons of places that funding could go, but for making things a little bit more accessible, or for improving the sidewalks in Wakefield, I think that would be huge. So I just wanted to.
So 16th is next Thursday. Yeah, that could be very interesting because that money is probably up for grabs, right? To any group maybe that can justify it. I'm sure that everybody throws their hat in the ring and then they somehow prioritize as to where
Right.
that's going to go.
And it's a significant amount of money, so.
Yeah, that's what I would guess it probably is. So yeah, that could be very interesting. Well, I'm sure that, you know, Bill Renault is, he's probably very aware of that, and anything that he's got on his list as far as accessibility projects that he doesn't already have money earmarked from somewhere else, he'll probably try to jump on that bandwagon. So I don't know, is there anything off the top of our heads that
Where
I
is that?
doubt that, I'm sorry?
Sorry. Where is that?
It's a Zoom meeting. I think you have to
Zoom
register on the town website.
Okay.
So you probably could get on the town website and see, you know, it's probably listed there under events or something, and then you just register. All right, let me make a note.
I think that also might be a place where the Council on Aging might have a few things to be able to say too about sidewalks and accessibility for
Right.
elders and people with disabilities.
I figured even if we could just kind of, you know, agree to or kind of corroborate what Bill was saying, you know, just to be another voice for making those things happen.
Right, because I'm trying, I mean, he's gotten some decent money over the past year or so, and they've been able to do a lot. But yeah, I wonder, Chris Carino must be aware of that, because his organization is probably an organization that could potentially benefit. But from what I was hearing him say, it sounds like that the new owners of Santander are probably going to be doing a lot of work over there for whatever it is they're going to be doing. And so, you know, the town is going to say to them, and that's all lovely, and we'll be happy to let you do that if you will also include A, B, C, D, and E for the Albion Cultural Exchange. So whatever, that's how the game is played, and that's how you barter. So hopefully he's successful. It's just that, yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a while, because I'm sure these folks have in mind what they're going to be doing with that space, but then they have to go through all the hoops of getting it approved by probably the town, you know, planning board or whomever.
And I'm just wondering, you know, how many condos would fit in there?
Well, they're going to do whatever they can do to make the most money from their
yeah.
investment, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
who knows with that? And I bet it's not going to be a restaurant for $5 or $7 million or whatever they paid for it. So, yeah. I don't know. Would that be a good space for our friends to be able to inhabit it? It's right downtown.
Exactly. Why
How
not?
about, you know, 55 and over plus individuals with disabilities? Like, why isn't anybody thinking of that? No, you know, few cars,
Right.
nobody in the school system.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I think we should get on Wakefield Housing Authority about that and make it a priority.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking, why at the head of the lake aren't they thinking about doing something like that? That would I think that would check off so many boxes.
Right.
But yeah, well, let's keep that in the back of our mind, because the opportunity will strike at some point and we'll want to be on it. Okay. So Polly, does anybody else have anything else before we move off this topic?
No, I still plan to go to a recreation committee. I was supposed to go to one and then I got changed because of whatever that night of the storm, they canceled it and then they moved it to a different night that I couldn't go.
Okay,
So I can
so
go to the next one.
yeah, that will be And just so you know, okay, just want to write- Darcy, so, well, Paula, and you're probably already aware of this too. So there was a young woman that was, had an association with Communitas that is now working with, liaisoning with the town recreation department, and she's put in they're collaborating with the Boys and Girls Club, which is great because they're been able to use some of the space over at the Boys and Girls Club in Stoneham,
I don't know what that is.
and they're putting together adaptive recreational programming. So they've done a bunch of things, but the things that my son Dan has participated in has been floor hockey, and that's been over at Boys and Girls Club in Stoneham, and now she's starting up a basketball league, and I think that
Is this
I
just
think it might-
Vanes?
No,
no,
Tracy.
it's Tracy, right?
She doesn't
And
work for Communitas.
that's right. She was a volunteer at Communitas back in the day.
A long time ago. Yeah.
Because I know Just
So-
Vanes is over at Boys and Girls Club, so.
Right.
Right.
They're good friends. Yeah.
Yeah, Lorna, I'll send. Are you aware of this basketball thing? Is Ash? All right, I'll send that to you.
Yeah,
But anyway, I guess where I'm going with this is that we want to we definitely want to beef up this. I don't know if we want to call it adaptive sports, but whatever. Just, I've had conversations with Dan McGrath in the past about this, and he's been pretty receptive. So, I think that they should be opening it up to our guys and making accommodations for them. So we should pursue that.
Marie,
Yes.
I am the liaison to the Board of Appeals, and I have the email for the person that I need to get in touch with, the architects in regard to the Head of the Lake project. And I wanted to ask the group, similar to the presentation we had today, are we interested in maybe having somebody from that group come to meet with us for, 20 minutes at the start of a meeting to talk about explaining the accessibility accommodations that they are putting into place how many units they're building that have the structure that's needed to add handrails and other things, so they can build things in a certain way so that you can adapt a unit to make it be accessible, even if they're not doing it right off the bat. Would that be of interest to people?
I think we should do that only so they know we exist and that
Okay.
there's somebody paying attention to that.
I agree. So I'll check in with them and get back to you all to figure out when it might work for them and when it might work for us.
Right. That would be great. Let's see what we can get going.
Janice, was that the Board of Appeals
Yes, the Zoning Board of Appeals.
regarding the path
Um,
behind the Hartshorn house?
No, this is in regard to the project that's happening at the head of the lake, which is still a ways off. I would assume it's still quite a ways off, but it's there are proposals that happen and X number of units get proposed and then they change it to a lower number of units, and the mixed use of the space is being discussed as far as what other than apartments, what else is going to be there. So I think if we ask the questions, and I agree with Marie, let them know about our interest in their project. So that would be.
Good.
I'll also get the name of the project. So that will be, you don't have to call it the thing that's happening at the head of the lake. So I'll find that out too.
Is it Cabot and Cabot? Is that the?
I don't know.
I don't know. So many
Let me
places.
find out.
Okay. Okay, anyone else? Okay, so the next item, Polly, you wanted to give an update on the website.
Yeah, we had talked about updating the website twice a year. For newer folks, we had put up a list of different resources, kind of advocacy resources, state resources, and agencies that supported people who lived in Wakefield. And that was an undertaking with Maeve Conway, who has since moved out of Wakefield. And it, it's a surprising amount of work just to identify kind of where the best places are, and then just to get into a sentence or two, kind of where, what they're about, so that we could put them on the website. And so I was just thinking that maybe we should start talking about it in the hope that by the end of kind of our year, so to speak, that we're able to get some more up there. And I didn't know if anybody on the commission would be interested in partnering with me about that, really just for kind of proofreading, maybe some ideas as well as to kind of what are the next categories. I'm thinking mobility, but I'm really interested in what other people have to say as well.
So you and Maeve did a lot of work, and did anything go up? I haven't been on our website for a while. Things did get posted,
Yep.
correct?
Everything
Okay.
that we had asked for got posted. They had just asked us to kind of create the hyperlinks and the brief description. And then there's a disclaimer there that just says that we don't endorse, or any of these agencies. But I think, the list could be endless. But I think if we just even try to add 10 a year, I feel like then at least it's kind of keeping it fresh. And there's definitely categories that we haven't touched on yet.
I know that the Council on Aging was extremely excited when I had told them that we had this website on, these lots of listings on our website. So they were going to go in and see what we had posted. I couldn't at the time tell them what was there, but
It was a while ago.
I know it's there. So I don't mind working with you, Paula.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I'll just throw the developer for the Head of the Lake project is exactly who you said. It's Cabot, and Forbes.
That's right. That's
Just
okay.
FYI. I did check that.
Okay, yeah, that should be an interesting presentation. Okay. And Paula, you had sent me an email and I had forgotten about this, but in the commission website, we got some correspondence from Linda from the MBTA paratransit program. So Lorna, can we put that on the for next month's agenda items so we can talk about that? I kind of want to spend the rest of our time talking about intelligent lives, but I don't want that to drop off.
What is the did you say the MBTA?
I'll forward you a copy of the MBTA paratransit. So
Paratransit.
travel training.
Okay.
There's a meeting coming up about MBTA accessibility, FYI, including everything except for the ride. So it's about the subways, the buses, the trains, and all of that.
Right. That's what I think this would fall under.
Mm-hmm. If I want to send something to get out to the group, Levon, do I send it to you or who do I send it? Who's the best person to send it to? Does it matter?
You can,
No, you can send it, you can send it yourself.
yeah,
Oh, that's all
just-
right? I don't have to
Yeah.
send, oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I think the only thing that you might want to add outside of our email address is to put down the Disability
Right.
Commission's email address, so it goes to the disabilities email also.
Excellent, thank you. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Okay, so now, did we cover everything that we wanted to talk about? So the last item, so I had sent you all my action item based on our discussions. And I really kind of I want us to start working on this because April's going to be here before we know it. But before we get to that, let me just talk briefly about the finances. So we had received confirmation from the school department that we have the Galvin. And we also received an invoice for something like $262, which would be for the custodial fees, as well as the support that I felt we were going to need for the audiovisual piece. And so I went to Sherry Carlson of the town to ask her how we act. You know, I sent her the invoice and said, how do we act? What do we do to pay this? And she came back and said, you shouldn't be charged for this, that you are a town organization and that there should not be a fee. So I'm concerned because I am not disputing what she's saying, but I want to make sure that the school department agrees, feels the same way. Basically, I don't want that invoice left unpaid and find out we no longer have a commitment for that day and time. So I sent an email to the woman that sent the invoice, copied Sherry, and said, let's talk and make sure we're all on the same page about this. So I don't know. I haven't heard back from anybody. Maybe they're hashing it out on the side. I don't know. But either way, if we have to pay it, we have the money. If Sherry can talk them out of it, that's perfect. That's great too. We'll use the money for something else. So, but I just wanted you to be aware that that's the situation. Now, Lois, we're gonna have to order a banner, right? The banner that we talked about.
Right, right.
We're gonna go to Rod and
Faulkner.
talk to him about this. You know, everything that we talked about. Get a
Right.
price. Have him give you an invoice, and then
Okay.
I'll send the invoice to Sherry, and that's how he'll get paid.
Okay, what I need to know is the new name is the Commission on Disabilities.
Correct.
Okay, I also need to know the size. It's gonna be like
I think in the past we talked like 6 feet
6
long.
6 feet long by 72 inches for the table. So it could be used if we're on the common, say, we have something going on. It can be on a, you know, like everybody has like some kind of a thing that they set up with their booth. So
Right.
you want something, and then I'm just talking, you want something that would show, do you want it in blue? Do you want the weight?
Yeah, let me see if I can, I wonder if I can easily send you guys, the Wakefield Special Ed Pack had a banner made up. It's vinyl, it's nothing fancy. And oftentimes when they advertise different things on their Facebook page, they show it. And I took a picture of it. And I should have sent it to you folks so you could see it. It's just, theirs is red, it's vinyl. It just lays across a 6-foot, you know, just a typical 6-foot banquet table, I guess, like
Right.
like the school would have.
Marie, can I throw out one thought?
Yes,
We had-
please.
We had, where I work, we had banners, and sometimes we found that we had no place to put an actual banner. We had a tablecloth made and for an 8-foot table, and it had the logo and the name put on the front of the tablecloth, and that way you've covered the tablecloth, you've covered the table with something, and you've got the logo right there. So something
And this
to,
is
And you
very
want-
similar to that, but what did they make? Oh, I'm not going to be able to show this to you guys. What did they make it out of?
it was a cloth tablecloth. It was, polyester washable tablecloth
Oh, and where did
And,
they get it done? Do you know?
at a, like the t-shirt place type of thing. Not, it wasn't local. We just had it done at, I think it was the print shop in Stoneham on Main Street. Starts with an S. Sylvan something, I don't know what it is, but they do, I think places that would do an actual banner might also be able to get the tablecloth, and it's silk screened on, I guess, whatever they do with things. And it was really useful to have that. Then you didn't have to worry about putting the banner up someplace, and you could see it as you approach the table.
Okay, and that's what this is. It's vinyl, but it is, and it was a heavy vinyl, which was a little tricky because all right,
I
I'm
think
gonna send this to you folks and see if this is what, I think this is along the lines, Janice, of what you're thinking about. And it was done by the T-Stop, so he'll know.
He's very good, and he is,
He does all of Wakefield.
he does all of Wakefield, whatever. And his prices are fairly good. I mean, I can't speak for him, but I know that we've talked to him several times, but because we didn't have our correct name. Oh, the other thing I want to know, if I could,
Can you please tell
Lo-
me your email? I'm sorry,
me?
Kristen.
Okay, so, I don't know.
All right, let me go with,
Did you say that
wait
you
a minute,
needed my
I've got them.
email?
I've got them.
Okay.
I've got it in my hand. Here we go. Just,
So the other thing he would need, do you want the logo for the town logo?
the,
On the seal,
band
the seal,
does that work for us, the
the
bandstand?
seal, the seal.
Does anybody have something else?
I think that would be
Oh, the town seal?
right. That's what I think he was talking possibly about. We were just there and we just talked about it. He said that should be no problem, but
He might already have the artwork for the seal.
Yeah. it's
I'm
common.
kind
Yeah,
of
oh,
thinking
yeah.
that I'd prefer not to put the bandstand, given that it's not accessible. So that just sort of,
Yeah,
I don't
good
know.
point.
well, usually everything more or less, most everything happens down on the common, but also things happen at I can never remember the place where, what's his name, has his meetings that nobody goes to. I can't remember. But we'll go down to see him before he goes on vacation, because around Christmas time, he goes on vacation.
Okay, yeah, that would be great. And if you can just get him to, do some like an electronic version of it for us, and then just send the email out to everybody so people can take a look at it. And in the meantime, I will
Do you want the seal or do you want the bandstand?
Do you want the seal or do you want the bandstand?
Well, Janice made a good point that she didn't think the
The red-
bandstand was a great idea, so.
Brand.
Just an opinion.
The bandstand is using what they're using for branding. I mean, you look everywhere, you know, those things that we put all over town that has all the information on the town, what's going on,
Kiosks, all
the
that.
kiosks
Right.
and all that. So that kind of makes sense to me, but I'm not the person that makes the decision either.
I'm fine with anything, so.
I like the idea of the seal, just
Yeah.
too, because if we wanted to go to like the meetings that are all the different towns, Commission on Disabilities, then that kind of makes us stand out. And maybe if you live on the South Shore, you might not know that we have a bandstand if you've never been to Wakefield. I just feel like it gives us a little bit more diversity.
The seal says Wakefield 1620 or whatever,
The seal
Right.
says 1620
or whatever. You know.
or whatever.
I like the seal too. Mainly, I think that Janice had pointed out a really good fact. The bandstand is not accessible to everybody. And
Right, right.
I think that if we're going to have the banner say Commission on Disabilities, then we need to have something that looks like we're accessible to things, and the bandstand's not.
Right.
And the wording disabilities.
Things. So disabilities is our new name,
I'll get the
Yes, Commission on Disabilities.
right,
too hard to do on my phone.
right.
Black lettering.
Black lettering, blue lettering, you tell me. For the name.
I wonder if we could use town colors of the red or the red and white. It's not really a red. I guess it's like a more maroon and white.
That's the branded color.
Maroon and white is the branded color.
Yeah, that's what I would go with.
Okay,
So it's a darker red.
so Marie, do
We'll come
you,
up with a couple and then.
do you
send them
agree
out to
with that?
Maria's.
yeah, we'll talk about it with him and then we'll get back to you, Marie. Like before,
Okay, here we go.
Right now, they're having shortages of that white vinyl.
Yeah.
You know.
Of course they are.
they are. A lot of
Okay,
places.
hopefully I got all of you the correct email in here. So I just sent a picture. So what you're gonna look at is the special ed packs. It is more of a tablecloth, Janice, but it is also a heavy vinyl. So I like the idea of maybe more of a polyester tablecloth because it will be easier to store because obviously somebody's going to have to keep it. So be easier to put a tablecloth in a plastic bag than it will be to store a big heavy vinyl thing,
That's a really good point.
right? So I've already got the Buddy Walk banner in my garage that annoys my husband because it's huge. Okay. All right, so let's try to, I hope that you all had an opportunity to look at the tasks and so I assigned the individuals based on these discussions that we've had in the past. So if I assigned you something that you don't want to do, please speak up. But I think there are other items that we're missing. So I think the first thing we need to do is we need to draft the invitation to the businesses, and then we need to identify who those businesses are that we want to get this invitation out to.
So Marie, you
So-
had put my name down on that task of the invitation, and I sent you a
Well-
draft tonight, but
Oh, good. Oh,
I don't know if you want to look at it first before we discuss it as a commission. I just kind of threw something together and figuring having something down, then we could look at it and people could make suggestions rather than just throwing out like arbitrary ideas. It might be better to just have something and then we could work off of that. So I did send it to you
Okay,
tonight, but
that sounds
I
good.
don't know if we have time to do it tonight, if
Thank
you
you.
want to wait. I think we do have time to do it next time. I mean, we could do it next time too.
Okay, so before, I didn't see your email, so thank you for letting me know that. Well, what I would like us to be able to do, we're going to have to do a lot of this stuff in between our meetings because there's no way we're going to get it all done during the meetings. So I think a lot of this is going to be done via email exchange, which is fine. Does after having looked at this preliminary list, do others have things that that should be added on here? What are let's talk about the major things we need to do firsthand.
Can you share your screen and show us the list?
Okay, I'm gonna try, Lavon, but you know what happened last time I did this. I wonder if before I do that, if I can
share it if you want. I can try to bring it up and share.
Sign somebody else a presenter in case I, go into La La Land again. I don't even know how to.
I can probably do it if I get the. No, I just have to get the agenda out of the email. Who sent it? Lorna or you? Oh yeah.
I think I can.
It's in the agenda, right? The list?
No,
No, the list wasn't in the agenda.
it's not in the agenda. It was,
I can share what I think you want. Oh, wait, no, it says host is disabled participant screen sharing. Never mind.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to screen. Once you have clicked on the limits, once you have claimed host, you can screen share or select someone in the meeting to screen share. There is a little arrow next to the share button. Okay, hold on. Multiple participants can share simultaneously.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, go for it, Lavon. That way I won't, can't mess it up.
yeah, didn't we kind of like lose you the last time, Marie?
We did. And I was like doing sign language and texting you on the phone. So I try to want to do that again if I don't have to. There we go.
All right, is this the right one, Marie?
I think so.
I think so. It's the one that I have.
Yep. That's the one I have.
I don't think I can't type on it, so I can just.
Wonder why that is.
It's because I don't have it open in Excel. I have it open on my Google Drive.
I think if you click the arrow that says open with. Oh, no, you don't have the option of Excel. It might let you open it.
That's fine. I have it open on my side. So
all right.
I'll update as we talk. So Lois is going to go to Teach Stop and handle the banner. Lavon has sent a draft of the invitation, so I'll take a look at that, and then if we get time before this meeting ends, we'll look at it. Otherwise, I'll send it around for people.
Marie.
So Paula, I know that you've read through some of the material. Like, what's relevant that are we going to need to use any of that they've already created, do you think?
I think just kind of for the conversation, if we're going to have like a panel at the end, I think that they have some good questions. But I think and then they just talk about different ways to publicize it and kind of who to involve. And it might be worthwhile to put on like the Intelligent Lives social media sites too, just because that'll get us additional advertisement. Or also, if people want to learn more, they can access all of that information. So I can forward that to you and Levon, just because I think it's cut and paste from the sample invitation.
Okay. So we already know that the Council on Aging has offered to publicize it. We know that Bella can do what she can do at the high school. We would put it on the town Facebook page. Individuals can put it on their individual Facebook page, or whatever other social media you use.
Do we want to invite I think I
Well,
might
let's
have asked
now
this
look-
question before and I apologize if it was already answered.
That's okay.
Do we want to invite the commissions on disabilities from the surrounding towns? You know, Melrose, Stoneham, Reading? Because then
Yes.
maybe they might want to see it as an example of something they could do.
Right, and it's a good way for us to introduce ourselves to one another too, because we've never done that. So, okay. Thank you, I've got that. We talked about the Chamber of Commerce, right? Because this is going to be focused on employment.
Right.
So we definitely want to invite the chamber so that they're aware of it. I certainly would like representation from the town of Wakefield as an employer themselves, because I see a lot of opportunity there that's not being, that a lot of potential there. All right, so we've got those. If we look at the list of businesses in regard to the panel, so these were some that we had discussed previously. Whole Foods was something I added because I happened to be in there and saw a young lady, I think maybe Paula from Communitas, and that's what made me think of that. So do we know any, I mean, I'll obviously take Biddy and Bo's. Do we know, was it Stop and Shop that Bella had given us the contact to? It might be in last month's,
I think it was Shaw's, Marie.
Yeah,
oh,
I think it's Matt
yes,
Provost.
yes. Okay, that's right, Shaw's. Okay, so then do we have contacts in any of these other stores? And if not, do people want to reach out?
I could do Whole Foods and talk to that young lady and see if she wanted to be our person with a disability on the panel.
Okay, because you were going to reach out to the job coach, at least get a job coach, but that would be great. Does anybody else have contacts anywhere else?
Did someone already say Shaw's?
We have a name at Shaw's, but
Oh,
if you would like to reach out to that person, Matt,
Yeah,
that would be great.
yeah, sure.
Bella had mentioned him as she knew him as
yeah,
the store manager.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Because I'm also
unless he's
wondering
gonna
if
reach out.
Garrett, who works at Shaw's, would like to be on the panel. He's, he's, I think, a good speaker too. And he works at Shaw's.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if that would be I mean, because
Okay,
where
so
the Shaw's
Darcy, you
is in
could mention
Wakefield.
that you're aware that. So we
That
would
makes
hope that
sense.
somebody from Shaw's representative would would come with, would be there as well as to represent the employer.
Right, right.
Okay.
Did someone
do we have
just,
no one- so
did someone just volunteer to do Shaw's?
Darcy,
Oh, Darcy did. Okay, I'm sorry,
I
Darcy.
did. Oh, no,
I
that's
could-
great, but but if someone else already, yeah.
No, I couldn't see when
Oh.
when the thing was up, I couldn't see everybody's picture. So
Oh, yeah.
oh no, that's great.
I can do whatever anyone.
Yeah,
I can-
I think maybe if we get the okay from Matt Provost, then we can go ahead and maybe ask Garrett if he would like to be able to be on that panel.
Okay.
okay. So,
Yeah, and I'm thinking maybe even we have like one or two people. The person who works at Whole Foods lives in Wakefield, but
Yeah,
all right, so we would hope that if she were willing to do it, that somebody from Whole Foods, her employer, would be there too, correct? Is that where we're going with this? So
I
not
think
Is
it's
this the
worth
Whole Foods?
asking.
is this the Whole Foods in Melrose?
Yeah.
Yes, I should specify that.
Yeah, she should do good.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the bookmark, because that's another thing that I think is gonna potentially be a bit of work.
I can
What-
handle that.
Okay,
I'm-
and do we
I'm
have any
crafty.
idea of what we want this? Good, oh, thank you. I'm so happy
So
to hear that, because
why
I
do we want it?
absolutely am not.
Would this be one of the times that one of those QR codes could be put
Mm.
onto the bookmarkers? Where it would bring it to our website? Because then it has all the
think-
listings of the
That's
resources.
a great idea.
Yep, I think that was where we were going with that.
I have a daughter that does a lot of graphics. So she can, if I can't handle it, I'll get her to help. And if we want to program the day of, I'd be happy to help with that as well. We can make something that kind of coordinates with make the bookmark coordinate a little bit with the program. But I love the idea of the QR code. That's a really good idea.
And that would bring, brings us to our town webpage. Right, is that where we want the code to bring us?
I think so. And that's where the resource list is posted.
Right.
Right.
Does
So
somebody know how to create the QR code? Is that a thing that somebody can do?
Well, Jen McDonald, I think, is going to work with us to do that. So Jen McDonald from
great.
the town will work with us, I think, to be able to do that. Yeah,
You
so I
can
think
you
that-
can make one very easily. There's websites called QR code generators, and there's a lot of free ones, and it's really, you just literally enter the website and say generate the QR code, and it comes up. That it's as easy as that. If you can cut and paste, you can do it.
That's about my limitations, cutting and pasting.
All right,
Do you
so
want
Jen is-
me to work with Jen on that, or do you want me to just give it a try?
You know what? I think we'll give it a try, and if it's something that you can figure out, great. And if it isn't, then please reach out to her.
Okay.
She just may be a good resource anyway, because she might, once you tell her what we're planning to do. Yeah, we need to get her into the loop at some point anyway, so we might as well just do that.
Yeah, because we're setting up something that represents the town. So I guess it would be good to make sure we keep them in the loop.
Well, let's try to loop them in now. Do you have her contact information?
Let me see. Yes, JMC Donald, so J McDonald at wakefield.ma.us.
I'm sorry, did you say MAC or MC?
It's JMC.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And her name is Jennifer or Jen?
I think they call her, it is Jennifer, but I think they refer to her as Jen, but I'm sure either way she'll be fine with that.
And what's her title again, Marie? What is she?
I have here Content and Communications Manager
Thank you.
to assist us with messaging and promotion, obviously on the town side, on the town site, but we definitely, yeah, we probably should run any communications that we're going to do on this by her, so that if there are any requirements that we have to follow, even when we're doing it on our own personal process.
Okay, I just made a QR code for the
So
first
I think
time.
then
And it worked. I tested it with my own phone.
go. There you go, Levon. So
Awesome. I'll still work with Jen on this because I hear what you're saying, that we really should be, she should know who we are. And this will help her to know who we are and what we're doing. So that's good to know. You can just make your own QR
right.
code.
I mean, she's familiar with the group, but she's probably not aware of this Intelligent Lives, and we should be working with her close. Work with Bill to figure out what we need to do for registration, because that's going to be important, because we're going to have to track everybody that ends up coming and have contact information from them because of this, the COVID situation. So I think right now, at least to me, the two things that give me the most anxiety are, what we want to say in this invitation, and what we want, the discussion that we want to have with the panel. So we're going to show the movie, and then we're going to. I guess the other concern is the movie is 70 minutes, I think, Paula.
Yep.
So, I mean, how long, I think is an hour going to be enough for the discussion?
Oh,
I think so.
I think 2 hours total for the film and discussion would be sufficient. I mean, we'll make it sufficient.
Plenty.
Anytime after 2
Okay,
hours,
so then-
you lose people anyhow. So,
Right.
And we'll leave them wanting more.
yes.
Which we can always come up with some follow-on thing to do it at another time. But yeah, I guess that's definitely the point. We want the employers leaving there feeling intrigued, right?
Mhm.
So we want the employers that are going to be coming to be obviously positive, so that the employers that aren't currently doing this are going to be intrigued and are going to want to give it a shot. So I think the questions that are directed to the panel are going to be really important. Yeah, I think that's really, to me, what's going to be most pertinent. Obviously, the film itself and the message it sends, but then the how we direct this panel discussion afterwards. And so what do we think that should look like? The question, to me, my first thought is the discussion is going to be to the individual employee, what is it about your job that you like, right? Why do you like working, or what should the question be?
I think
Yeah, I
that's a
think-
great question. Why do you like working? Because frankly, a lot of people don't. So it's to actually be hearing from people who like going to work and like being at work. And I think it's a great question.
And from the employer's standpoint,
What are the benefits of having
Yep.
this person?
I think maybe asking the workers themselves as well, what do you think is important about having a job, in the sense of, so, showing up, being on time, all of the, whatever it is that they think is important.
So what do you think is important about having a job? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Maybe not worded exactly that way, but, being, be interesting to ask both of them, what do you think makes a good employee? Because, and then showing that what the employers think makes a good employee is what the employee is looking for, is looking to be.
That's a good point.
I wonder, Marie, if we should dedicate like a big chunk of a meeting coming up to developing like a pool of questions and then kind of voting on which ones would be good and having some backup questions and stuff. And then one of the things that I think we should really think about is sending the questions ahead of time to people, so that sometimes makes people feel more comfortable in speaking if they know ahead of time what they're going to be asked, and they can kind of formulate their answer ahead of time.
Excellent idea.
Yeah,
And could we also
I
ask the
definitely
employers
agree.
and the employees, what do you think is an important question to ask? So what do you think is important for people to know? And see if we can get them to give us some questions, because we're not looking for trick or surprise questions here. And I know that the folks that I work with at Disabled Persons Protection Commission, having the questions ahead of time is really important, so that they can create notes and have those notes available.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and particularly for the employees. I mean, not only are they going to need the questions ahead of time, they're going to want to formulate their answers, review them a few times, write them down, so that maybe they're going to have to read their response on a card, whatever works for them.
Exactly.
Okay. So other people's thoughts. So our next meeting is, let's look at the calendar here, is
January
it January
3rd.
3rd? Jeez. Okay. Would folks be maybe amenable to meeting more than once next month? I'm concerned that we're going to run out of time is I guess my concern. Maybe once we start working on this stuff and we come together next month, we might be in a better place than we think we're going to be. But if we're not, I don't know if it makes sense to break out into groups or just meeting all of us together a second time in January to just continue on. I mean, can people make the time to do that if we need to? And it would just be a working session, like we would have nothing else on the agenda other than just this.
I think that's a good idea. I think it would be a great idea to schedule
Right,
it.
so-
And if we don't need it, we don't need it, but I have a feeling we'll need it.
Yeah, I'm just concerned that we're just not gonna get everything done, and I don't wanna be in April, you know, freaking out. I want to be in April saying, yeah, we're, yeah, I mean, Mondays are, for the most part, are good for me. I don't know anybody else's schedule.
Yeah, Mondays are usually good for me too.
Well, let's schedule it. It may be that not everybody can make it, and that's fine. Again, we may be in a better place than we think we're gonna be. So do you want to do like the 3rd and the 17th? Or the 24th, or,
17th might be Martin Luther King Day.
It is.
oh, could be right, yeah, so that's not good. So let's go to the following week, then the 24th.
Or it might be good for folks because
Right.
the day off.
Yeah, whatever works from the majority is fine with me. It will be a working day for me, so it doesn't matter.
I think the 17th is good.
All right, so let's do that, because Lorna, what we're gonna have to do is, we're still gonna have to go through the whole process of posting this. In order for us to meet, this has got to be posted as a public meeting.
Yep.
The agenda will just be, we'll just call it working session for Intelligent Lives. So that's all you're gonna send, and we can't preclude people from attending the meet to check off the boxes, so.
And I can send out that discussion guide from the folks who developed Intelligent Lives to everybody so that we can discuss it at the next meeting, if that's helpful. Just has some like sample questions.
That'd be really helpful. I don't know about the other people who are new. And I'm still new-ish, so I can still make that claim. We weren't involved in getting this set up from the beginning, and then it all got postponed. So knowing more about what it is about would be really helpful.
Oh, that's right too. So there's probably at least 4 of you that have never even seen the film.
Well, we could view it at the next meet. I mean, we could view it on the 17th. If people want to do that, but that's, you're on mute, Paula.
If the
Yeah,
4
you're on
people, sorry, if the 4 people who haven't seen it are interested, they could even just contact me and I could set up like a private viewing, or we could do like a Sunday evening or something like that for people who haven't seen it. If that's something that you're interested in.
I think that would be great.
I
But
think I
can
can
we
just, I think if we're not calling it a meeting, because we've already shown it in a meeting. It would just be a private viewing.
Okay.
Yeah, because it really wouldn't be a meeting, right?
Right, because I'm just thinking it would be just myself and whoever else. You know, we could even just do it, make sure we did it one-on-one so that there wasn't any, and I could do it in my communitas role, not in my commission role. I can switch hats.
Yeah.
Right.
Is it available on other platforms? Like I just looked on Netflix. It's not there. Like is it Amazon Prime Video or?
No, we just were borrowing the license, so I could show it remotely. If you just gave me a time that you wanted to see it, I could set it up for you. We would just have to do it in this.
And we were not recording these meetings when we saw that.
We were.
So was,
Oh,
So was it recorded when you showed it? Because I'm trying to think if we could remember the date we did that and it's recorded, then people can go back onto the town website. All of our meetings are posted. All the videos are there.
I believe it should have been recorded. I think the only time that the meetings weren't recorded was when we first started off and didn't know how to turn the record button on.
I don't know. Yeah, I think that, okay, so after this meeting, do we remember the date, Paula, by any chance that we did this?
I don't. It was last spring, I think.
Yeah, because we went into, I think the April 1st meeting, whatever date, the first Monday in April, I think was our first Zoom meeting. Because I think everything started closing down the middle of March.
No, but that was the year before. We just did it in 2021, the spring of 2021. So it had already been closed down a year. So I think you're right. I think it should be recorded.
And we viewed it in this.
The spring of
We were gonna
2021.
show it in the spring.
No, I think we viewed it in the spring of 20. We were going to have the show in 2020, wasn't it?
Yeah, but we didn't see it
So-
before the shutdown.
No, we didn't. It was after the shutdown. The shutdown happened in 2020. March of 2020.
Right.
So I think we saw it shortly after the shutdown. Because I thought originally we were going to view it, that we were originally going to do Intelligent Lives in the fall of 2020. Of course, that got postponed. And we thought then we'd be able to do it in the spring of 2021, which of course we weren't able to do it then either.
Right.
Right, when we get off this call, I'll search. If I can find it, I'll send it. If I can't, then Paula can reach out. I'll let you know, Paula, and then you can, just send an email to people, and if people are interested in viewing it, however you want to handle that, then let's do that, because I think it will be helpful if
So
it's,
I just found it in our minutes.
Oh,
So
good.
we watched it, good memory, at the April meeting, April 5th, 2021. We viewed the Intelligent Lives movie.
Okay, so that means.
Thank you. I'll go look that up.
Yeah, if we can see if it's on the.
And so then it must be posted to the website. But remember how we had to go back and forth about how we could watch it and whether it
Right.
was the
That's
movie
what I'm
recorded?
wondering.
Like,
I
feel
think
like
it was. I think
Oh.
at the end, it finally was. We went with the town
Okay.
lawyer and talked to
Yeah.
everybody. Yeah, you're right.
That's right.
Well, that sounds like a way to try to access it, and I'll give it a try.
Again, if people aren't
that's
able
definitely
to,
the best way to do it, because then you can just watch it when you want to,
Yep. If that doesn't work, I'll let you know, Paula.
sounds
Thank you.
good.
Last one, but. Okay, all right, so do we feel we're in a good place, at least for now, with this? That everybody can go off and start to, everybody's got something to work on? Does anybody have any other comments or questions?
I do, Marie.
Lois, go ahead, Lois.
Sorry, now, are we going with the vinyl, the 6 foot by 72 inches? That, and the grommets to be hung if need be? And it would be a table, like a 6 foot table, and it could be used, and we don't know the color. You want red, you want blue? I just have to get this squared away before I go to Rod, because if it's, you know.
So this is what I would say. Ask him what options we have for material. Can it be vinyl, or are there other options? Like, can we do cloth or polyester? See if he has other options he can offer us, just so that we know. Did you folks get my email? Did you have a
Yes.
chance to open it? So Janice, does it sort of look like when you said tablecloth, that sort of looks like what?
Yeah, exactly. So that you could lay it out on a tablecloth and the logo's right in the front. And
Right.
the ones that we had, a few of them made up, and they were very lightweight. So that
So Lois, when you can get to your email and look at the picture I sent you, you'll see that it looks like a tablecloth, but it does have grommets. It has little grommets along the front. So it could be, if we wanted to, I don't know, hang it on a fence or somewhere, the option would be there. But it hangs down the front, it has sides, and then it has a cover over the top that goes over the top of the table. I don't remember if anything hung down the back or not, but Rod will know. I'm sure it's a standard design, so.
Right.
It's
Okay, because I
nothing unusual.
want to have the correct information before I, we do anything.
Yeah, well, definitely 6 feet long. So to cover a 6 foot table. So if you
And the
show him that,
72 inches.
if you show him that picture, he'll
Okay.
he should have a sense.
Did you
Okay.
send that out to all of us?
Pardon?
Yeah, I think I did.
Okay, because I haven't got it yet. Did you send it to my
Yeah,
AOL?
yeah, who knows what email I sent. Hold on. I bet I sent it to you wrong. No, I sent it to your Gmail, so I did send it to the wrong one. Sorry, Lorna.
Okay.
Just trying to pick up emails from my phone. It was not.
Polyester would be like a tablecloth.
So the polyester would be a tablecloth. I don't know how that would last.
Yeah, my only problem with the
That's my
tablecloth
concern.
thing is that it isn't thick, very thick. And my experience with those type of tablecloths is that even though if they're easier to fold up and store, even if they're stored for a long time in those creases, it doesn't last as long.
Yeah,
That's right.
And the vinyl you can wipe down, if
Right.
drip or spill something, you can just use a
And
sponge and wipe
the
it down.
color and
The
the
vinyl you can use as a banner.
Yeah, what do we want for a color? What I showed you was red. I don't know, is that too much? Do we want white?
I don't know. I'll have to look because I haven't been in my email. So, and the other thing is,
So we'll look for options on a 72-inch table, rectangular table.
we're gonna get options on what he thinks the best. And I'm not saying the cheaper the better, because that doesn't usually work. And also you want the red things with with everybody's, what's going on in town, so you want the little, you know,
You don't
the,
want that.
you don't want that?
No, I think we said the town seal, right? That's what we agreed to?
I don't know if you
Town
agreed to.
seal is not the dance name.
Right, correct.
Town
Lois,
seal.
Lois, I got a lot of this information in the notes too. So once you get the notes, and I'll send them out tonight. Once you get the
Okay.
notes, they'll be, you'll see that information in there, okay?
Okay, because two of you people I've never met before, so I'm just kind of trying to figure out who's who.
None of us have met. We're met on Zoom. That's about it.
No, what I mean is, you know them. Well, you've met the new people, right?
No, I've met them on Zoom, just like
Oh,
you've met them.
Okay, okay.
Someday we'll
But I
have to
think,
make
I
a
think
plan
that Lois
to do
was not
that.
here at the last meeting, and that's,
I wa-
I don't,
I
that
was
she did
not.
not meet
That could
Kate
be
and
exactly
Kristen.
it.
Right. Okay, I'll do my best. Okay,
We'll do great.
okay.
Okay, so anybody else have any questions or suggestions? All right, so I will clean up this action list and get it out to everybody. And everybody just start to do your thing. And let's communicate via email for now until our next meeting. Certainly reach out if you have any questions. And then right now, the plan will be to meet twice next month to see
Okay.
how far we can get.
All right.
Okay? If we're good, then does somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Adjourn.
Someone want to second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you all for taking the
Thank you.
time. We stayed on late. I appreciate it.